going live. Oh, 6 viewers already. Oh, people are loving it.
Da, 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 da.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the Penny Lane podcast ish / sister show / look at our charts with Penny Lane and Shark.
Hello,
Hold
hello.
on.
Wait. Oh yeah, we need our.
Hold on. Wait for it. All right, we have a great show for you today. Today, I think, was the definition of an inside day on the market. So, oh, really? So anyway, I was red today, but managed my risk very well. I posted my one trade on AMD. I had overnighted some Apple puts that I got out of break even, and I had one bad trade that we can maybe go over if we have time, but love to talk to you about AMD. So here I am. It's your job to tell us what the day was like in the market, and let me keep going. So obviously the market fell a ton yesterday on Monday. And then today, it was like trying to hold on all day. We're just in between that tight little range, and we're just up and down on SPY, and it was happening on AMD and Apple.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. We're just
not everywhere, but we'll talk about. Yeah.
Ding. That's what the market did today, and so I kind of actually was thinking that the market was going to be bullish today and sort of like go back up because it just fell so much yesterday.
Right.
But the fact that like eventually at the end of the day, here's SPY, it did break down and kind of dripped down. This is so I know. But the fact that we went even lower today makes me think that we were just sort of like consolidating a little and then would go lower tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely a big consolidation day today. On the markets, very, very slow and kind of boring to trade, but what can you do? But we can go over it more in depth and talk about what was going on today, because it was definitely interesting yesterday. And let me get my screen going. Let's get the daily chart up. TrendSpider. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I was actually in overnight calls over the weekend. So I got a real nice bath on that gap down on Monday. We had there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that came out signifying that that they were more interested in potentially doing a 75-point rate hike instead of 50 basis points. So even more hawkish. The CPI numbers obviously kind of concerned the Fed even more. So so that was a nice pie in the face to the markets on Monday. So I mean, this is SPY starting to look like a low float stock that we used to trade with all these gaps, right? I mean, what a daily. The main thing that I wanted to point out, though, and where we were and where we spent a lot of time today, we have this downward channel, and this trend line is very important here. I've got some levels that I'm watching around 373, 372 in that area. We tested it many times. We actually did a fake break out of it today, and then we saw the markets push back up But I just wanted to bring this trend line to everybody's attention because it's really important right now. Obviously, with Powell speaking tomorrow and the rate decision, it's really hard to predict anything. Unfortunately, we had last week we had CPI. We were in this tight consolidation that which was real tough to have to trade through. This finally, we did see a nice move down out of that. Um, However, now we're contending. The Bulls and the Bears are fighting it out over this trend line here down in the 373, 372. You could even say 370 area. So those are definite levels to watch. Certainly breaking under that and getting some hourly closes under. Like today, we did break under. However, there was no follow through. I mean, it certainly looked like it was following through. Um,
Sure.
yeah, it went down. I think it was 371 today. So, to be honest, it kind of surprised me that it shot back up. But again, we didn't really see an hourly close, which was really what I would be looking for at the very least when you're talking about such a big trend line on the daily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so all eyes on Powell. An annoying price action. We just traded in this range, today. It wasn't very fun. It's a scalper's market right now. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna see, all this chart really, all this stuff, these lines don't mean anything. Obviously, when FOMC comes out and the market starts to digest that data, so we're gonna have to see what happens there. The biggest thing, for me is not trying to predict what's going to happen right now in the market, more so react to levels that I have pre-planned, and trying to react off that because it's really tough right now. VIX obviously too is very high, making option premium more expensive. So, um, so yeah, it's fun times in the market.
So I have a couple questions. Can you go back to the daily
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
chart,
and we'll go
please?
over today as well. Let's go back to the daily.
So all those huge holes in the chart.
Yeah. Well, we
That
were talking about these last time, the gaps, right? I
right.
think we were, yeah.
I still clearly don't have a very good handle on it. So those are now gaps in the market. Now, do we have to go back up and fill all those in? And then, like, I know everyone, or what I've heard is people are thinking we're going to go back up to 400 and like fully reject 400 and then we come back down. I think that's
Yeah, that's
one.
that's certainly a scenario that 400 is a big, psychological level. Usually, I think, I need to look up the statistics because I wasn't sure on them last time. But I think it's like 65 to 70% of the time gaps are filled at one point or another. Do we have to do it? There's no time limit on when they have to do it. So they could do it in a week, they could do it tomorrow. For me, like I was mentioning before, I'm looking at reacting to price levels. Like, so for an example, and I'm just kind of, if we got over, say, 387, if we got over um, this May 24th low, I would be pretty sure that we're gonna at least come to try to fill up to that big level at 390. That's I'm just saying as an arbitrary example. Or if we broke over this May, I mean, we would already be kind of in this first gap, but like say over 385.25, I would be really thinking, okay, we have a strong chance to fill that gap to 387. So they only really can get filled when shorts get trapped and then, you see them start to cover, putting in the buying pressure. Will that happen? That's anybody's guess because obviously there's a lot of fear in the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's kind of just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see. But
Another question. People are saying, like, how will you know personally when the like bottom is in of this
I mean, there's
pullback,
there's
recession, whatever we want to call it? I don't know what to call it.
I think trying to pick you're never going to get the
Never
exact
gonna
top.
nail the bottom, right?
Yeah,
Or the
yeah, yeah.
bottom, or I
So,
totally get that. But just
yeah,
like
yeah.
if you, I don't even know if you have a long term portfolio, but if you did, when would you feel comfortable maybe adding some things?
Well, it's tough to say because, I do, fundamentally, there is a lot to point at why we should probably keep going down. I was reading, they were, and this also kind of gets a little bit into fundamentals because really everything comes down to what people believe are fair values for companies, how many multiples they trade times their earnings and things like that. So there's going to be a point when we get down to an area where people agree with the multiples. Now, that's kind of more of on a fundamental basis, which takes longer to play out. When you're investing, if you haven't started one, I mean, I think that there's going to be a great opportunity. And when you're thinking maybe from an investing standpoint, in my opinion, also, you don't have to go all in, on your positions, right here at 370. You could take a 10% starter and say, okay, if SPY comes down to 350 or 300, maybe I'll take some more and build into a position that way. So, that's another way you can kind of, and just like swing trading, on a shorter, scale, if I'm swinging, um, you know, um, options that are a month out or 3 months out, I'm not going to get in all right away. I'll take a starter and then take little nibbles. And that way I'll protect myself. If it goes against me, I get stopped out on a small position. If it goes up and breaks over a key level, okay, then, maybe I could start to add. So it's really about, I think, again, with anything, for a long term, um, when the market is like this, is just to kind of add in tranches. But where's the bottom? I don't know. I mean, I think I was projecting 350 area, but again, I'm here to react to the price. Anyone could say anything, and a broken clock is right 2 times a day.
Oh,
So,
there we go.
you
Got a little
know,
what are those called? I don't
a
know.
saying.
A saying, sure. So you got a little saying for us? Um, okay, well,
Yeah, sorry there
that
isn't a
sounds
definitive answer. I mean,
depressing and
350, 300, also just think of those big psychological areas. But, would I, catching a falling knife, you know, I mean, yeah, you're in it for the long term, but I don't know if that's
it's
really the
three.
best
I
thing.
can't believe we were at 450 just
Oh, I know. I
in
know. I
April.
almost, I sometimes have to like stop myself and like, so wait, I'm saying 370, like
Three, so
I'm like,
right.
I'm gonna get 380 calls. I just, what? Like,
I thought we were in the fours. We've been in the
yeah,
fours. We're a
yeah,
four.
yeah.
We're a four country.
Yeah, no, I know,
Yeah.
but we got to get a handle on inflation. We have to raise those rates. Quantitative tightening and is going to obviously continue. So,
We refied in 2020. Yeah, we refied in 2020 like badasses. Really locked that in, which was great.
yeah,
Yeah, I know
yeah,
you're
there you
not a
go.
homeowner, but for those of
Well, it
us
was
who are
actually funny. Well, it
homeowners,
was it was actually funny. My mother was looking at potentially doing the same. I was like, "You better do it soon, because they're about
oh,
to raise rates." And she's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and she
yeah.
got in just in the nick of time, and then they went. I'm like, okay, so
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's very interesting watching what's going on in the housing market as well. We've had things really. So I'm in Atlanta and I'm in the real estate business, as you know. These are for people who don't know. And we were like putting something on and having, I mean, 15 to 20 offers the first
right,
weekend or whatever.
slowing
And there
down,
was
huh?
just like biting people just, and they were bidding up the price, bidding up the price. So things were selling at 120% of list. And that has come really to a halt. For the first time in probably 18 months, I'm getting emails and notifications called like price, uh, what is it? It's like price
Mm,
refinement or
okay.
something. Which, so people are lowering their list
Yeah, right. They're
prices.
dropping their
They're
dropping their bid.
dropping the prices, which is like, you can't, like, people were listing, if you bought your home for $800,000 in like 2018, then you could list it in 2021 for like 1.3. And
Right.
I mean, it was just like insane. And then
Yeah.
people would pay over
You're
the
right.
ask. I mean, there are a
Right.
lot of factors. I just made that up, but
Right. Right. Well, obviously COVID and everything, and there was a lot of demand, but it is slowing, and I was mentioning on my Twitter, the consumer sentiment is really, going down. I think it's at its worst levels that it's been in a
what
long
does
time.
that mean? Like Costco and Target, that sector?
No, it just means how confident the consumer is that the economy is going well, their purchasing power, um, and how strong they feel, you know, economically. And obviously, it's not very good right now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of obviously things to be concerned with, but it's not, it's not pretty. But we'll see what happens.
All right. You want to see my AMD trade?
Sure, sure. Let's get into some trades.
Let's get into some trades here. It's very boring, and I'm sorry. I mean, just the
I
market
know.
is
Well,
boring today.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it's the same. It's a scalper's market right now. It's not. You're not really trying to get these huge plays. You got to go level to level, take what you can get in and out, and it's not really. And for me, I'm not really a scalper, so I don't really like to trade that way. But
I've
you
got
have to be able to adjust.
got some
Um,
exciting things here for you in the old TrendSpider. First thing I want to draw your attention to is this right
ah,
here. This
okay.
right here. This is, you
Can
know,
we get a round of applause for your logo edition? There you go.
all right.
And
So,
that's pretty big for you because you kind of mentioned you don't like to have technical savvy.
oh, I'm the
That's like
worst. I'm the
this is
worst.
like
But
a
it was
big step
very
for you.
easy. But I had to go into the Photoshop today. I told you as my friend yesterday, I had to get the Photoshop because I had a big art release.
All right.
Um, so I had to go into Photoshop and resize my image to get it on there. And I think it's
Wow.
popping. I
Wow.
actually think it could be a little bigger. I may refine, but it's in there. So
Well,
that's good.
yeah. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
great.
So, also, I learned how to add these cute little symbols. Do you see that? That's a crown.
Oh, okay.
So this is where I took my put. Um, Now I know that you are gonna have some problems with that.
No, I mean yeah, I mean I understand why. It looks like was looking like a bit of a bear flag to me.
Yep, it was a bear flag, and then this level I'd watched like for I know like how important this is. So it was under, and then it like had closed under it, sort of on that 15, and I was like ready to roll. So I took my put, and then I held it, and it was also trading within a range as SPY was today or whatever. So I just kept watching it,
This was a
probably
trade from
here.
today, like you
This
said,
was
right?
today. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I took it here, and then I just held it like all day while it was just in the range, in the range, in the range. And then I added some up here when it couldn't, like, it broke above the range and then it closed under the range. And I added at the very top when it couldn't, like, break and hold above this range. And
Sure.
then I cut it. You see? You see the
Mm-hmm.
scissors? I cut
Yeah.
it right there
I,
for even. And I
no,
mean, I was pretty proud of that, honestly. And then, of course, like I cut it and it goes down here. So I could have made like some profit
something.
on it. But like
Yeah.
it just, my mental fatigue from all of
Yeah.
this, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows it's going to come down, bounce, and then pop right back up. And I'm going to be really in the red again. And I just was tired.
Yeah. No, this price action definitely, especially if you're trying to overtrade or even holding something all day through that and just having to watch it, is very mentally taxing, and it takes a
Hmm.
lot. It takes a lot to be able to sustain that, and we're only human after all. So I
Totally.
think,
I've got
yeah.
like a twitch in my eye, which I think partially could come from the fact that I might have microdosed yesterday.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
a funny story since there's not a ton of trades. So, I accidentally thought I microdosed yesterday with the mushroom coffee. And then it turns out I think I didn't. It was just like mushroom coffee. But I used the recipe on the box and it said to use 2 ounces. So I used a scoop for 2 ounces and made the little coffee and it tasted delicious, just like coffee. It was great. And but I realized afterward that it had caffeine in it, and I'd had 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and 2 cups of coffee is my max. So all day I thought, well, you had 3 cups of coffee, and I was really feeling over caffeinated, and then I got this like twitch in my eye, which happens if I just cannot have too much caffeine. So I was like an insane person yesterday, and then I woke up this morning and it's still twitching and it's still twitching, but I still had a little bit more of the tea. I had a little bit more of the tea right around right here when I needed this
Oh.
trade to really go in my favor. I had a little mushroom tea, and I was looking on the bag as I was making the tea, and 1 scoop of coffee has the same caffeine as 1 cup of regular coffee. So I had
Oh.
4 cups of coffee
Wow.
yesterday. No
Oh, wow.
wonder I have an eye twitch.
Well, I'm glad you, yeah, wow, okay. Well,
Yeah.
now you know.
Now I know. All right. So there's that.
Well,
All right.
yeah, well, I was gonna make some comments about,
Oh, about my little trade here?
well, I thought
I
so.
could have really. So, really, the best place for me to have cut this trade would have been like on this candle.
Yeah,
Honestly, that would have
right.
been the smartest place for me to cut
Yeah.
it. But the market was just so bearish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was
Yeah,
such a
I
good
understand it
flag.
didn't break, I understand it didn't break to the range, clearly on the upside. And even where you added, it wasn't, a crazy, it was, I can see your justification coming up by the highs. If it got over that, obviously you would have to get out.
Right.
But
So I cut it. So I added here, and then my stop here was like if it went over the top of this candle.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I really was not taking much risk there at all.
Right.
Um, and it allowed me to get out, but dum de
Yeah.
dum. Yeah.
All right.
Do you have any more comments? Oh, how do you like my icons? Do you like the little crowns?
The cut was the scissors is very apropos.
You knew exactly. I wonder if maybe next time I'll put like a dollar sign if it's like a really good cut. Just means you got to cut
Yeah.
or lose. But
Yeah.
if I really make bank like I did on my spy puts yesterday, jeez, it's an
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah.
trade. Um, that should have been a cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. All right, is it your turn?
Sure, we can go over my two little
Why isn't
trades.
anyone? I know people are watching. I can see people watching. Why
Oh, well,
isn't
why don't you talk to
anyone
them?
making a comment? I'm trying to talk to you guys. Do you
Why,
like
why,
the
why,
scissors?
why don't you say hello?
Do you think we're funny? Hello, hello.
Do you think?
Am I coming in clear, Mom? Do you know what movie that's from?
No, I don't.
Am I coming in clear, Mom? It's from Willy Wonka, Mike TV, when he
Oh,
like
yeah.
jumps up. He's like,
Oh,
hello.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. When he gets put into the TV,
Mm-hmm.
through the TV dinner thing. Okay. So the first trade I took now, I have, I said I had some levels. 375 was one of them, and again, I had mentioned the 372, see 373 area that I had been watching as well. So I had these kind of levels that were mapped out ahead of time, and when the bell opened, I because we were holding that trend line on the daily, which I was also watching as a key support. I was coming in more with a bullish bias. So price opened, it came, and I normally don't do this either. So it's also been the theme recently. It's been we get some moves in the morning, and then it kind of SPY just kind of goes sideways. Um, but I normally don't do this, but I actually got in. I think it was like 9:45. I got in as it came in to retest just below 375. I got some calls, and I literally sold most of them. Like I bought them here on this 940 candle, and I sold most of them up here on this candle, and it was like maybe 25%
Oh,
win. It wasn't anything too special, but I wanted to show you. So yeah, for that trade, let me get this. Can I move it? I think that this is really cool. And of course, I don't think I got this exact top. But so for me, for this trade, and this is what I'm liking to look for, a nice positive risk to reward that you get here. If this area below my risk was, hold on, my mouse is freezing. There we go. My risk was below this candle from the yesterday's low. Let me see if I can adjust this. There we go.
we got a comment from Kevin
Oh, you got.
Baker.
Oh, there you go. You got one. And we'll take some questions later. And there's
Hi,
also
Kevin.
something to mention about the market today. All right. So as you can see here with the risk to reward, it's a very favorable risk to reward. I was risking maybe 50 cents. And that's actually something that I want to touch on really quickly. In this high volatility market, especially, we have VIX obviously by 33. It was tapping 35 yesterday. What I like to do in this type of market is I give myself a wider stop loss, but I'm also cutting back my size. So that really helps me be able to withstand these bigger moves throughout the market. Because if I was going in normal size, it's going to be too much stress, too much pressure, and how am I supposed to deal with 75 cents swing? SPY can be up and down $1 in 30 seconds in these
Sure.
markets.
I have
So
been to that end. I've been trying to buy calls and puts that are a month or like
that can be another great thing to do. Just
several
give
weeks
yourself a little bit
away.
more time. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and
So
it's
the
going to
one
be a
I
little bit
bought
less volatile.
today was the 1st of July.
Yeah, and
I mean,
actually that,
it's
yeah.
so helpful.
Yeah, and today I actually kind of ran into that, and I'll kind of go over that. So yeah, it wasn't anything, I really did like the risk to reward, as you can see here. Now, I know it was going to come all the way up to here? No, obviously I didn't. But that's how it worked out. But that's something that I think is important that all traders are going to be looking for, at least a 2-to-1 risk to reward on your trades. And work with that sizing being a bit smaller again to deal with the volatility, because if you play it too tight, you're going to get easily stopped out in this market. So um so that was one. Whoops. So that was one trade. And then I was watching this descending wedge form here. We were watching this. I was watching that major trend line that we hadn't broken out. I did catch this nice little reversal, and was able to catch some of this move. Again, as far as the risk to reward goes, of
How
course I
did
didn't.
you know that that level touch was going to be the one? How'd you know that?
Well, I was also figuring why we had the descending wedge. We were holding the trend line. So again, um, that was establishing my kind of bullish bias that I had because we were still holding this trend line, the bigger one on the daily that I was pointing out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this nice falling wedge reversal setup. Now, something I'm also looking for throughout the trading day is what time of day are we in? So I had a feeling too that if we were going to see some type of a reversal, it was going to be more likely coming out of lunch. So we chopped through all this, blah blah blah. I was watching, like I said, I had this trend line drawn out, and we were coming out of lunch. So I didn't get the pure bottom. I might have gotten somewhere here in this um, 370, 325 area.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I mentioned on the daily, and I had these levels already mapped up, that 270, that 373, that 372 were key levels for me on the daily. And it also had the confluence with that bigger trend line. So these were all reasons for me why I felt comfortable, and we were coming out of lunch. So it was all reasons for me to try to get a move out of this. And yeah, if it broke below I didn't hit this low here, but let me see if I can. Here we go.
Well, maybe I. It's just interesting since my trade on AMD was mirroring this, like, exactly or whatever.
Right,
Um,
but the opposite way almost. What do you mean your AMD trade?
oh, I see what you're saying. Well, um, my like level that I wanted it to break on AMD, it was holding and it was holding this level on Spire, whatever. But like,
Oh, you mean towards the end of the day in this
no,
area?
all day I was just watching it
Right.
bounce. But like, never did I think let me check, one, two, three, the third time it came down and bounced off this level, like, oh, I want to take calls, which I know that the risk to reward is better if you do that. Like if I had taken calls then and it broke through, then that's a great risk to reward. But I just kept being like, no, it's like it's just getting weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yeah, and
But
we did see the breakdown. I mean, you weren't wrong in your assumption. Obviously we did finally see this breakdown. Um, so you were, that's not, you didn't have the wrong idea, in my opinion. It was just tough to deal with this consolidation thing, and we can talk about what was going on. And we've seen this now a few times in the market where it's just traded within this range, and then finally today, when it broke out, I think it was the 373, 372 area. When that finally broke, that's when we saw finally that momentum. But of course, they did the old Joker candle and gave us a good reversal, which I was kind of surprised on because this candle's closed below this demand level. So
well,
I was actually thinking about taking a reshort when it came up into it, but I didn't.
hold on one second. Yeah, baby.
Claudia feed us or will you?
If Claudia wants to feed you,
Anyway,
that's
so
totally
while
fine. I
she
just had a
speaks,
sandwich.
I just, again, it wasn't a huge trade. This isn't obviously the market where you're going to be hitting these big 100% moves intraday. Hopefully we can get some nice full on trend days soon where that's more possible. But yeah, I got maybe 30% here, and then as it broke down, I sold some more. I held here, waiting to see if my predetermined levels would break, and then when they did break, I got out the rest of my calls, which actually then ended up turning back to green, but that's fine. I followed my plan. I followed my levels. That happens. I'm fine with that.
You got a question on YouTube.
Well, because I already had, again, the trend line that we were talking about earlier in the show. So I was watching this bigger trend line from the daily, which I knew that was, important. So we opened up and we kind of came down right into this area. So for me, based on my daily levels, I had just a plan, a thesis that, okay, if 372, 373, 370, those areas I'm all watching for they break. As long as they don't break, I still am going to maintain a slight bullish bias, like cautiously. I'm still trading smaller, on the long side, just considering, how the market has been. But I still had the idea of a bullish bounce today, especially because we were down 2 days in a row. So it really comes from, I would say, just game plan. I had my levels mapped out, and I had my thesis on what might happen today. So it came into my level, and I just took the trade. I could have been wrong, yes, but obviously you just have to accept that risk every time. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are sort of coming to the end of our time on the show. Do you have any last things you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing I did forget that I wanted to mention when we were talking earlier just about the overall market. It was interesting today. We did see quite a run on a lot of China names. They were very strong today. They've been getting some good news recently, so we've seen some nice relative strength in Baba. I think we had PDD that was also strong. Baidu was strong as well. Yeah, PDD really had a really nice move today. I don't particularly like to trade these stocks because they are a bit spreadier and kind of unpredictable, but pretty nice setups here. I mean, pretty clear, bull flag that was on the table, another little one, and then it kind of sputtered out. And a lot of China EV names again also were very strong today. I think NIO was running into an event, but NIO I do trade sometimes, and I wish I did today, but unfortunately I did not. But really clean price action on NIO that was available today for people to trade. LI, I don't like. This is probably better for commons because the options I'm not too crazy about them. But LI made a nice move, a nice little pennant here. Oops, I didn't want that. A nice little pennant here to trade. And the other one was XPEV, was very strong today.
So was FedEx.
And yes, I was going to say the last one, not last, but I think they had a nice PR.
Yes.
In the morning. But yes, FedEx made a really nice move too. Again, it's a shame because I'm not a fan sometimes of the options liquidity on some of these lesser traded names. It's really important to make sure you have a good spread. Otherwise, you can get really bad fills, especially if you're marketing out. And if you're trying to limit out on a pop, you might not get a fill. So I try to stay away, but some really nice moves in those names. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. Generally, the China names have been pretty strong recently. I think we saw a really nice move on Baba even last week. So I'm just going to keep my eye on them. Food for thought.
Kevin had a
so basically
follow up.
Oh, Perch said that FedEx delayed his package, so he's shorting it tomorrow.
Is it your Ghost energy drink that didn't get here on time, Perch? interesting. You can't answer. Dum de
Well,
dum.
he might not, there's a delay, I think, in the audio.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes, Kevin. Um, I talk about him sometimes. Huge legend in the trading psychology, and I don't know if you know him, but definitely just check out anything with Mark Douglas too, because yeah, I mean, you just have to trust your charts, trust your thesis. It's you have a certain probability. It's all trading probabilities, so you've got a higher probability one thing's going to happen over the other, but you just don't know, if it's going to land on. The coin's going to land on your head on your call that time, or you're going to miss it. So all you can do is set the risk.
Perch, I'm trying so hard to get Ghost Energy Drink to sponsor the podcast, and it's not working. Maybe you should reach out to them and be like, guys, I love your product. I love this podcast.
Well, I can tell you what. Well, you know what? Also throw out the TrendSpider link.
Oh, it's in the description.
Oh,
I
it's in the
finally
description.
figured out
Okay.
how to get it in the old description.
Okay, good.
Oh, wait. It didn't show up. It didn't show up. All right, hold on 1 second. Dum-de-dum. Copy. All right, guys, if you like this show and want us to do more content for you, please make sure you use our link if you want to try out TrendSpider. When you support our sponsors, you support the podcast and let us make more amazing content for you guys.
Well, that was more for. Yeah, we all go through that, man. Yeah, no, 5 years. I'm around the same time, and I have cycles or days that I'm just not in the groove, or go through a week where you're just not trading your best. It definitely, it's a never-ending journey, and especially right now, like I said, with the volatility in the market, trust me, it's very hard for everybody. You got to take those quick plays. Hopefully, we can get some nice trend days soon where you can just hold all day. But
Yesterday was a nice trendy.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
still annoying to trade. It just didn't really have that momentum. It just was that slow bleed.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys. Well, thanks
all
for
right.
tuning in. We'll be
Thanks
back
for
on
joining us, yeah.
Thursday. If you have any more questions for us, ask us on
Yeah.
Thursday.
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll see you Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Not next week, later in the week.